उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So with this we have come to the last verse of this chapter entitled Kapila's Instructions on Devotional Service. So in the end, here Kapila Muni is telling, Tasmad imam swam prakritim. Tasmad means therefore. So giving all instructions in the beginning, finally he is concluding, therefore. Therefore what? Imam swam prakritim daivim sadasadatmikam. Here Kapila Muni is speaking about Maya, the external energy of the Lord which governs this material world. This Maya, Swam Prakritim, which is Daivim, which is divine, Sad Asad Atmikam, consisting of cause and effect, and which is Durvibhavyam, which is insurmountable. On our own, we'll never be able to cross over Maya. Without Krishna's help, just by the living entity's individual strength, crossing over of Maya is impossible. Maya's power is insurmountable. Durvibhavyam. And this Durvibhavyam Mayam, a yogi, what he has to do? This insurmountable energy known as Maya, he is supposed to Parabhavya. He is supposed to conquer it. Swarupena avatishtate. Having conquered this Maya, he should establish himself in his Swarupa, self-realized position. He should be situated or remain in that position. So now, from the beginning of this chapter, we see how lot of instructions are given by Kapila Muni, how to conquer this Maya, how to become self-realized. All of these instructions are given. So, quoting from the Bhagavad Gita, in the purport Srila Prabhupada says, how the famous verse, Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So this divine energy of the Supreme Lord, which is known as Maya, it cannot be crossed over by a living entity, but by surrendering to Krishna, he can easily cross over. So that surrendering process we find in this chapter. So now let us have a small summary study of this chapter before we conclude this chapter. So it began with Kapila Muni telling to his mother Devahuti, My dear mother, O daughter of the king, now I shall explain to you the system of yoga the object of which is to concentrate the mind. By practicing this system, one can become joyful and progressively advance toward the path of the absolute truth. So he is telling to his mother, I will be explaining to you now that system of yoga. By concentrating the mind and by practicing these things, and it is joyfully performed, one progressively advance towards the path of absolute truth. So this was the statement what Kapila Muni made in the beginning. So gradually he started speaking about how a yogi should practice, what all he should practice. So few of the important verses let us see now. First, Kapila Muni told about Swadharma Charanam Shaktya. He should follow his prescribed duties properly. Vidharma Cha Nivartanam, not engage in someone else's duty. Daivad Labdhena Santosha Atmavid Charanarchanam. Whatever he obtains by the mercy of the Lord, by the will of the Lord, he should be satisfied with it. Daivat Labdhena Santosha, and then Atmavid Charanarchanam. He should surrender and worship the lotus feet of a self-realized soul. Then, what next? Gramya dharma nivrittischa moksha dharma ratistatha. He should give up all gramya dharma, so-called material activities, engagement in so-called activities of this material world. Moksha dharma ratistatha. Be inclined towards, engage himself in moksha dharma, the dharma of becoming liberated from this material world. And mita medadanam, medhya adanam shashvat vivikta kshema sevanam. He should reduce his eating, eat frugally, and he should stay in a secluded place. Ahimsa, satyam, asteyam, non-violence, truthfulness, no stealing, yavadartha parigraha, whatever is required, absolute necessity, only that he should keep with himself. Brahmacharyam tapashaucham, practice celibacy, austerity, cleanliness, swadhyaya purusharchanam. So by performing all of these things, finally he should render service to the Supreme Personality. And yada manasvam virajam yogena susamahitam kashtam bhagavato dhyayet svanasagravalokanah. So a lot of such instructions are there, and by practicing all of these things, he should be able to control his mind. And with his controlled mind, Kashtam Bhagavato Dhyayet, he should meditate on the form of the Supreme Lord. Svanasagravalokanah, with half closed eyes, looking at the tip of the nose, he should meditate on the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then after that, there is a detailed description of the form of the Supreme Lord. How the Lord is prasanna vadanambojam padma garbharurekshanam nilotpaladalasyamam shanka chakra gadadharam. So like that description goes on. The Lord has a very beautiful face. He is holding the conch shell, lotus flower, the mace, and these four things, shanka chakra, all these things he is holding in his four hands. And his complexion is that of nilotpala, bluish lotus flower, and all of these descriptions we see. And finally, after those descriptions, he says, in fixing his mind on the eternal form of the Lord, the yogi should not take a collective view of all of his limbs, but should fix the mind on each and every limb, individual limb of the Lord. So each and every limb, in great detail the descriptions are given, and the yogi, it's not that collectively he should see, he should fix his mind on each and every limb, each and every aspect in the whatever form of the Supreme Lord. And the verses starting from Sanchintayed Bhagavatas Charanara Vindam Vajrankusha Dvaja Saroruha Lanchanadhyam. So the Lord's lotus feet, which are having these specific marks, his toenails are like this, and a brilliant radiance is emanated from his toenails, and from there he should begin meditation, gradually raising himself up to his ankles, his knees, his thighs, his waist, his belly, his chest, and his arms, and all the paraphernalia what he is carrying in his 4 hands, and finally the lotus face. And in his lotus face also, his smile, his beautiful eyes, his eyebrows, all of these things specifically the yogi should meditate upon, should concentrate his mind upon. And after telling all of these things, finally towards the end, Kapila Muni says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Param Brahma, is the seer. He is different from the Jiva soul or individual living entity who is combined with the senses, the 5 elements and consciousness. So this Supreme Personality whom here it is being spoken of is different from the individual soul, the Jiva, the individual living entity. And then a yogi should see the same soul in all manifestations, for all that exists is a manifestation of different degrees, different energies of the Supreme. In this way, the devotee should see all living entities without distinction. That is realization of the Supreme Soul. So it's not just seeing the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Lord, how to see his part and parcel living entities. That is also mentioned by Kapila Muni. And finally, now he is telling as the conclusion, Tasmad imam swam prakritim daivim sadasadatmikam. So this daivi prakriti, this external energy, maya, durvibhavyam parabhavya, this energy of the Supreme Lord is insurmountable. But by practicing all of these things, he should parabhavya, that is, he should conquer over this maya. And then finally, swarupena avatishtate. He should be situated in that self-realized position. So now, in the purport if we see, Srila Prabhupada explains more about devotional service which is supposed to be practiced in that self-realized state. Because there is this one big category of spiritualists known as Mayavadis, who they also undergo all of these things, whatever procedures which are given here, the brahmacharya or the meditation and all of the rules and regulations which are given here, everything they do. And they conquer over Maya to the extent of, like say, controlling their senses, controlling their mind, all of these things they may do. But they have the conception that in this self-realized condition, we become one with the Supreme Lord, which is completely false. So Prabhupada quotes the verse from Bhagavad Gita, Brahma-Bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. So in that self-realized condition, in that Brahma-Bhuta stage, what will that living entity do? Madbhaktim labhate param. He engages himself in devotional activities towards the Supreme Lord. he does not stop his activity. He doesn't think himself that he has become one with the Supreme Lord. No. So here, one very beautiful example is given in the purport of a diseased man. How a diseased person, in his diseased condition, he finds all of his whatever day-to-day activities to be very troublesome. A diseased man, if he wants to eat something, if at all he wants to eat some varieties of food, no, he cannot do that. If he eats whatever, even sweets, sometimes it will taste him bitter. He'll not be able to digest properly, he'll not be able to swallow properly. It will be very difficult for him. Some bitter medicine he has to take. So that eating activity, it's very something troublesome for him. Likewise, if he wants to walk and go to some place, he finds it very difficult. He'll be very tired. He'll not be having that energy required to move from one place to another. His legs will start paining, so that movement is also difficult. And if at all he wants to jump and dance, it is practically impossible for him. So likewise, all of these, even sleeping also, sitting or sleeping, his back will start paining, and whatever he wants to do, everything, it will be like in a troublesome way, painful condition. So now, that diseased man, that patient, he may, under the direction of an expert doctor, takes the required medicine, follows a specific diet with great care, with great attention, taking up all austerity, very strict in following the diet, medication, all of these things. Over a period of time, he will be able to come out of that diseased condition. He'll come to his normal condition because of his strict practice of all the instructions given by the doctor. Now, after he is relieved of that diseased condition, if he starts thinking, oh, eating means it is so difficult, all that bitter medicines, walking means very difficult, and all whatever other activities, very troublesome. If the doctor says, now you have come to your normal condition, now you can eat normally, whatever you like, you can go ahead, walk around, and nicely you can jump and dance. And if that patient starts thinking, even after I become relieved from this diseased condition, even after whatever coming out of this diseased condition, still should I take food? Should I walk? Should I jump? Should I sleep? Because for him, his experience says that all of these activities are very troublesome in a diseased condition. He was finding it very difficult to perform these activities. If at all he thinks that all these activities are troublesome, so in normal condition or the condition out of my diseased condition means I should not do any of these activities. I should not eat, I should not walk, I should not jump and dance, I should not sleep. If he starts thinking like this, we say he's a foolish person. Yes or no? Likewise, after performing all these different yoga procedures, the instructions given by great acharyas, if a person comes to the conclusion that now I have become self-realized, so in this self-realized condition, all my activities should stop. Because he has got the experience of his activities in the material world, which is troublesome. Eating means not so easy. A lot of regulations should be there. And likewise, doing any other activities in this material world, it's all troublesome. So even in self-realized state, if I have to engage in all of these activities, then it's very difficult. So no activities. So this is the conclusion which they come to. They are not aware of the blissful activities which can be performed out of joy. The same activities of eating, sleeping, walking around, jumping and dancing, with lot of joy, with lot of happiness, he can perform these things in his normal condition when he is relieved from the diseased condition. So that is what here Srila Prabhupada is trying to make us understand. This is very, very important. If we are not aware of this, then we become just like the Mayavadis who say no activity. Become self-realized and become one with the Supreme and no activity. No, this is not the way. If at all artificially you think like this, what will happen? Over a period of time, Aruhya krichrena param padam tataha patanti ado anadrita yushmadangrayaha. Even after raising themselves to that highest platform of param padam, still they will fall down eventually. Why? Because they have not taken shelter of the Supreme Lord by rendering devotional service. So that's why as devotees we understand this Mad Bhaktin Labhate Param. In that Brahma-Bhuta stage, one performs devotional service to the Lord eternally. So this is the understanding. So in the diseased condition, that man, he may find it difficult, but once the diseased condition is gone, the same activities will become pleasurable. In the diseased condition also he is active. He is trying to eat something, trying to do something. How can we say that once the diseased condition is gone, he will become inactive? No. Once the diseased condition is gone, he will become more active. Active in the true sense. So that's what we see the description given in Brahma Samhita, the last 2 verses, wherein there is description of the activities which goes on in the abode of the Supreme Lord. The description is there how there every step is a dance, every talk is a song. There are Surabhi cows from where unlimited milk comes, and all activities are very pleasurable. So these descriptions we need to take from the Vedic literatures and understand how now in our diseased condition we may not find these devotional activities very interesting or very tasty. But once this diseased condition is out, then all of these activities can be relished. One more last point I would like to throw some light upon. The quality of the Supreme Lord. Among the 64 qualities of Lord Krishna, which we find in the Nectar of Devotion, which we find in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 60th quality, it says, Atma Rama Ganakarshi. The Supreme Lord, He possesses wonderful qualities through which He can attract the self-realized souls, Atma-ramas, who are self-situated, who are happy within. Even such souls, the Supreme Lord can attract towards Him. Such wonderful qualities He possesses. So, wonderful examples we have seen. the example of the 4 Kumaras, the example of Shukadeva Goswami. Immediately after his birth, he just walks towards the forest, and after he hears wonderful qualities of the Lord, he comes back to his father Vyasadeva to study the Srimad Bhagavatam. And also we have heard of the sages of Dandakaranya forest, who are all self-realized, who are deep in meditation, but looking at the form of the Supreme Lord, they get attracted towards Him. They want to have an intimate relationship with Him. So understanding their desire, the Supreme Lord blessed them to become His intimate associates in His next incarnation of Lord Krishna in this material world. So this is how it is. One thing is, we need to understand it is a quality of the Supreme Lord through which He attracts all living entities towards Him. So all of them are naturally inclined. There is a natural taste for all living entities to render devotional service. It's only in this diseased condition, when he is overpowered by this Maya, his external energy, that whatever that attraction is not there, that original nature is being covered now because of the Avaranatmika Shakti, Prakshepatmika Shakti. But once this uncovering is done, then naturally he'll be attracted towards the Supreme Lord, and he likes to be engaged in all of devotional activities and which he performs lovingly towards the Supreme Lord. And how this uncovering can happen? It is only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Without the mercy of the Lord, it cannot happen. Earlier I gave this example of how a person may go to his friend's house. There one dog is there. He simply opens the gate and starts entering. Immediately the dog will start barking and come and try to bite him. And maybe the dog will be very strong. Maybe with our own effort, it may be difficult for us to get relieved from that the clutches of the dog. And what can you do? You call out your friend loudly. So he'll come out of his house, and with maybe some simple indication, some coded language, he'll speak something to the dog, and immediately the dog will release you, and wagging its tail, it will just go back inside. So likewise, understand, the Supreme Lord is there, who is our dear friend. So this dog, that example we can compare to the external energy of the Lord. It is His own energy, but for a purpose, to teach us a lesson. So if at all we call out to the Supreme Lord, take shelter of the Supreme Lord through devotional service, quickly and easily we'll be able to come out of the clutches of this insurmountable energy known as Maya. So we'll start with this. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki,